This is the CPU that you should be buying if you need a computer now, but don't want to buy a graphics card, whether because they're extremely overpriced right now, or you just don't have it in the budget, but you need a computer now. So all in all, this is just a great option. But enough talking, let's build this PC. I will be having a follow-up video with full performance testing of this APU as a standalone system, as well as with a dedicated graphics card. So stay tuned for that. But in today's video, I'm just going to be building a really sick mini RTX gaming PC that is upgradable in the future if I so decide to maybe grab something like a 1660 Super in a month from building the PC or something. I have that option entirely. So let's unbox this thing first, and then as we're building, we're going to go over the parts we're going to be using in today's system and why we chose what we did. Because hey, if you get a free cooler, you might as well use it. Not worth spending the extra money when you're saving for a graphics card. And besides manuals, that's all we get in our box. And then we have our Ryzen 5 5600G. I'm like super excited. I have not tried any of AMD's APUs in gaming before. So I'm hoping it lives up to its specs at least. For our motherboard, we did go a little bit overkill with the ROG Strix B550i Gaming. Not gonna lie, I picked this all up at Micro Center today, and it was just what they had in stock that was, supported Ryzen 5000 out of the box. Although, more on that later, we might still need a BIOS update because this is G, not X, so sometimes it's a pain. But this was good condition, open box. I got this for a little under $200, which again isn't the world's best price, but it's what they had. I would highly recommend a cheaper board. Again, $150 max, and this is ITX. You could go full-size ATX. You are by no means bound to using an ITX system here. I'm just choosing to because I want to kill 50 birds with 2 stones. Like I said, well, I have it, so I'm going to use it, but this board, it is way overkill for this system, but man, this thing is freaking stacked. I love it. I mean, just look at the cooling on this. It's amazing. Isn't our chipset like, yeah, I think they did something creative. No, it's B550, so it's under here. But for ITX boards, this is kind of the max you can get. You got an M.2 on the back, as well as our heat-sinked M.2 on the front on a little expansion board, PCIe 16X slots, 2 high-speed RAM slots, all the marketing, and support for just basically anything on the planet. We've also got some, we've also got Wi-Fi, I believe it's Wi-Fi 6, and a crucial feature, BIOS flashback. The new G series CPUs may or may not be supported by your motherboard, even if they say 5000X series ready, just because some of these boards are high-end enough that they don't think you're going to be using a G series, so they don't have it in their default BIOS. So you might have to get an update or a different BIOS for them, but BIOS flashback, great option. So I'm just going to unbox our brand new 5600G. Have not had a brand new CPU in a while. I've been waiting for this to come out. I've been super excited. I got a ton of builds and stuff planned with this CPU. Today's build is no different. I've been recommending this for a while, getting a good APU while you wait for graphics card prices to go down, but there hasn't really been a great APU. I would recommend a system like this. So they finally came out, and you got good CPU performance in there. Let's get our RAM. So for our RAM, Kingston has actually graciously provided a ton of their new Kingston Fury Renegade RGB memory. This stuff is basically as good as it gets for DDR4. And again, like the motherboard, we are going overkill. It's just, this is because hey, it's what Kingston sent, so it's what I'm going to use for this build. So this is 64 gigabytes, 2x32. DDR4, 3600 megahertz. 3600 megahertz is the highest reasonable speed that I would go for a system with even Ryzen that loves high-speed memory, because anything higher than that just gets you get diminishing returns with expense, so you maybe get 1 or 2 FPS increase. God, this stuff is just beautiful. Have not unboxed it yet. Had the chance to use it. DDR4, 3600 megahertz. Fastest kit of memory. It's almost the fastest kit of memory I own, and it's just, this stuff is insane. So even though we're going ITX, and again, you can go full ATX for your build, there's so many options here. I'm just doing an ITX build because I have a second purpose for this build, which you'll see in another video. This stuff allows us to have 64 gigs. I have the same kit actually in my main rig. 64 gigabytes of RAM with only 2 slots. So that's how I'm able to edit 6K video in Premiere Pro with an ITX board, because I can still have 64 gigs, which is prime for editing, and keep it ITX. Man, that is some thick memory. Look at that. I love it. As much as I would prefer a bigger cooler, I'm actually glad it comes with the Wraith Stealth, because this case that I'm using today, this is the Geek something or other. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. They may not even have it, but this is a case by Geek. They send you like a kit, you build it yourself, and it's a super slim ITX case, and it's amazingly small. And real quick, let's actually quickly install our SSD. I do love how the theme of this build is, saving money by not buying like a balls-to-walls graphics card just yet and waiting for the market to normalize. Yet here I am, absolutely going overkill with every spec I can. And the SSD is no different. This is a Samsung 970 EVO. It is a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. That'll be the main storage for our system. Just install that on this little riser board, which I think contains our RGB. And just install like this. I love working on ITX systems. They're just so easy, especially when you got M.2 and such. And then we will just pop on our heatsink. I'm not going to bother with the sticker, because this is a dense boyo, if you ask me. So, moving on real quick. Last thing, I guess, is our cooler. We got to take off the stock mounting system. Did they redesign it at all, or is it the same cooler? Nothing new. Very boring. Wraith Stealth, pre-applied thermal paste. I'll just leave that on because, oh no, we may have a memory clearance issue. Or it could just be the way I'm mounting the cooler. Okay, single-sided RAM slots are dumb. Asus, you need to stop. They do it on their boards, and you need to freaking stop, Asus. Yeah, I know you don't watch this because you're better than me, and I get that, but like, holy crap, Asus, stop with the single-sided DIMM slots. Wow, this Wraith Stealth cooler is legitimately almost like, it's not fitting. This is going to be an issue. It's fine. It's going to be probably a little ugly, but I actually have had this Noctua NHL9A laying around for like almost a year now, because I had planned a build similar to this. So I guess it's going in this one now, which is actually the build that I was planning on. That is going to get all over the board. I may never find that screw. I found it. Wow, that got a lot heavier. There we go. Now that's more like it. Perfect. And hopefully this is as simple as just dumping it in. Oh, we should do our power supply first. I've learned my lesson. Let's move that over there. Power supply comes first. Now, this is a very tiny case. I definitely don't think a normal size PSU would fit in here, and you guys have probably already seen it on the table, but this is our power supply cutout, because this case only supports Flex ATX power supplies, which is exactly what I have. This is an ultra tiny Flex ATX PSU. This specifically is the Silverstone FX500. Silverstone sent this to me a good while back for use in this exact case a long time ago. But it's coming back because I freaking love this unit. 80 plus gold. 2 8-pin connectors instead of the 1 6-pin that the 350 watt comes with. So definitely a lot of room for expandability with a unit like this. And we got black cables, which is surprisingly rare for Flex ATX units because they usually go Rambo. But hey, I'm happy. So we're going to just toss this in to our case and painstakingly cable manage it for 20 minutes. Perfectly installed. Love it. Cable management in this case is as simple as shove it out of sight and hope for the best. Cables expertly managed by yours truly. I really hope that didn't just break. I'm connecting the PCI Express riser back here. That is back here just for an easy upgrade down the road and for the follow-up video. And for a follow-up video where we add a graphics card and test the performance of this thing. Tiny bit rough on the cable management, but To be honest, I can't really complain. You can. I give you that right, but I can't. I won't complain. So, all that's left is I think we're actually completely done. I think we just got to boot test this system. I don't know, I think we've ended up with a adorable little unit. And I guess we could test our front panel while we're at it. So, turn on our power supply. And are we spinning? We are not spinning. Alright, Noctua fans have that weird, like, no spinning mode thing. And I don't think we're going to get a signal on our board, actually. I think we'll have to do a BIOS update. I almost completely forgot about the BIOS thing. Wouldn't it just be amazing, though, if we got a signal out of this? Do we get a postcode or something? Oh, wait, I see a white light. Wait, no. The monitor just turned on. No way. Oh, my God. As soon as I go to check, of course it boots. So, as we can see, I don't know if you guys see 3900 megahertz. Yep. 64 gigs of RAM. Drives my, oh, yep, M.2, 1 terabyte, and our 5600G. Perfect. Press F1 to run setup. I don't have F1. Our CPU is actually running at a 31 degrees. Is not terrible. Our voltages look all about correct. The only thing I do want to turn on is actually XMP, because our current memory is running at 2400 megahertz, and I want it to be running as best as possible. Hopefully it's working. Now you can hear that loud fan. That is again our Flex ATX PSU. You're really not going to find a quiet Flex ATX unit. I might have to recheck that. Oh, okay, look, can we just restart, please, Windows? All right, we are in Windows. We don't have internet for some reason. These boards have really fucky drivers with Ethernet. All right, we've got our Wi-Fi, and let's check. So we've got 64 gigs of 3600 megahertz DDR4. Our Ryzen 5 5600G happily boosting to 4.4 gigahertz. And we have our Radeon graphics. It says its dedicated GPU memory is 512 megabytes, and this is where our RAM comes in. We chose both 3600 megahertz fast RAM as well as using 64 gigs, simply because any extra RAM that your system has, your GPU cores in the CPU can use as its VRAM. So it's got 512 megabytes of dedicated onboard VRAM, but it has 32 gigabytes of shared memory, running at 3600 megahertz, so that's pretty amazing. And then we've got our 5600G. So I'm going to launch a quick thing of GTA 5 just to make sure all of our cooling and stuff is working, and then we're going to end this video, and I will tell you guys to stay tuned for part 2, where I want to do a full testing video of this CPU combo, and then I want to do a follow-up to the follow-up where I test it with a graphics card. Alright. Wow. Wait, really? Hey, I hate to spoil my testing video, but as a little teaser... What? This can't be serious. Yeah, no, the CPU is boosting to its almost 4.5 gigahertz, which is actually a couple, about... It's boosting to 4450, which is 50 megahertz above its rated boost clock, but... We are seeing greater than 60 FPS 1080p low settings. This should be a pretty interesting testing video. Oh, guys, it's been a while since I've been genuinely excited about, like, just a consumer grade piece of hardware. Just having it, like, modern consumer hardware. But this is going to be a fun product to work with. So stay tuned if you want to see the full performance testing of this Ryzen 5 5600G. Hope you guys kind of enjoyed this little cute build video where we are setting up our, basically what is going to be our test bench for the CPU. And we showed off an awesome build. So like I said, I highly recommend something like this if you're just looking you need a PC now but you can't afford a graphics card and want to add one later. Something like this CPU would be great for something like that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.